Hello guys and welcome back to Bergthal, where I think I promised you guys a follow-up episode since we didn't quite complete the town in the very first showcase of the new German region pack. We did get a lot done though. We have most of the city center completed, we have some pedestrianized streets, but obviously we still need to fill out some empty blocks. We need to detail up the marina. We need to detail up the pedestrianized blocks. I have some cool ideas here. And then we need to make the city a little more functional. Because if we have a look at our statistics figures here, unemployment is really, really high, which is not very German of us. So we probably need some industry out here so that we can continue growing Bergthal. So let's jump straight into building some extra city blocks with a little thank you from me to all of you due to the very nice reception on the first video here in Bergthal, and a small reminder that if you enjoy my content, I would very much appreciate if you like this video. Thank you. Now, filling out more blocks is going to be much easier than in the first video, because something that has changed is that we have updates to the icon and find it mods so that we actually have icons for all the German themed buildings in game. And this is just such a game changer because obviously it makes it a lot more easy to plop your things down. So massive shout out to TDV and all the people involved with actually getting thumbnails for all these buildings. It's a monumental effort and it makes my job so much easier. For instance, if we go by 4x4, then we have a almost square block here, one of the more square ones we have here in Bergthal. And I was thinking that if we find a beautiful building of some sort, something like this maybe, then with a bit of imagination, I could probably get away with stitching them together. It's not gonna look perfect because it doesn't have the shape to make it perfect, and I'll showcase you guys in just a second, but I think it's gonna be good enough. So if we do something like this, and oh wait, now I have to think, do I need 4 versions of this in an attempt to make it perfect? Can you nah, I think that's gonna cause some pathing issues, so I'm gonna try and stitch 2 together just for a start. And then we'll see if we need to do even more, but I don't think that's gonna work out all that well. So I'm just gonna place 2 of them, and I think that's a case of good enough. I don't mind that we have this right here because they are at different heights as well. With that said, jump in to move it and just lower this road a little bit. We can cheat like that to make things look a little nicer. Then we'll go into manipulation mode just to, oh wait, we'll grab this node here and we'll just raise that to kind of follow the actual pavement here for the houses we've already placed. And there you have it. Now this color scheme here seems very German for whatever reason, not sure what that means, so we're gonna copy that, paste that to this one here, and then with the cinematic camera we're just gonna take a little look, and I think that looks fantastic. So I think we're gonna do just one more block, maybe this big one, and then we definitely need to work on revamping some of this stuff and build some major industry out here, maybe get a proper industrial railyard going as well. Something that's gonna look real nice, because while these mixed-use assets of course do actually have workplaces, it's not too many, and the majority of the buildings I'm using are the medium density ones, so I'm just continuing to add to the population. Which isn't solving our job issue at all. It's making it worse. Anyways, let's get going with this next block here. We're just gonna expand the menu and grab whatever we need. So something I like about this pack is that level 1, 2 are the same. Level 3 and 4 are the same, and level 5 is the same, and the only change here is the height of the building. So more floors are added. That's the primary change at least, and that makes it pretty easy for us to kind of designate how dense an area we want this to be. So let's just say we want level 3 for this entire block, and I'm gonna try and grab some buildings I haven't used all that much before. So one of them could be this one here. Gonna enable anarchy so that we have full freedom as we place it. And I'm trying to use this 4x4 because when I have pretty large 90-degree corners, or almost 90 degrees at least, I better use some of these when I have the chance, because for instance on this smaller corner here we wouldn't really be able to fit it, unless we did some magic to try to get it to fit. And I guess we can kind of expand or extend this building here. Get another building in the back. And then we can specify a lot depth of 2. It's gonna make it even more simple in the types of buildings we can use. And then here we might just be able to squeeze in a 3x3 corner. Get one of these nice looking ones, I think. I just want to make sure it's not the same building that I have right next to it or on the other block here. So that's that's the only thing I just checked for. And let's see if we can have, do we have 4x2s in this pack? We do not, so let's just grab some of these 3x2s because I haven't really used them a whole lot in other parts of the city. And this time we might just mix it up and bump it to level 5 so that we get a bit of a taller building. Let's see, I actually just want to use this one, I think. And this looks to be a 2x2 lot, and we'll go down to level 3 again, see what's the best fit here. And the best fit here might actually be 2 buildings, so I'm gonna try and place one, and then I'm just gonna turn it ever so slightly and place the second one. And then it's complaining a little, but with move it, I might just be able to fix it.
Ten years later.
Well, I tried, and then I tried some more, but I just have not been able to actually fix the pathing issue that we just saw. So I'm gonna try something else and see if I can just kind of squeeze this building in here. A red roofed color scheme, apply it to this one, and then maybe we can just tune down the facade here, something like that. Always nice to get more people in here, but obviously this is only further worsening our unemployment issue. So let's move away from the island onto the mainland and get some jobs rolling. And I think we need to redesign this entire area here because I also want to add some suburbs, you know, some low density stuff to Bergthal. And I have some good custom ideas here for how we can create old European suburbs. But before we get to that, I think we need a railyard so that we can actually get some trains to that would be the Bergthal Central Station. I feel like Till Lindemann from Rammstein every time I try to say Bergthal. We'll get a railyard in place and some accompanying industry. That is going to help with some jobs at least. So I don't want to do too much terraforming. Because, you know, I kind of like I mean, I've even added these hills, so it would be kind of weird if I did some terraforming to remove them, but it's a little more flat in this open field here, so I think we're gonna create it all the way out here. I do want a good sense of scale, so I don't mind having big open areas. So I'm just gonna flatten this, and then we'll see if it's even feasible to get the railyard in here and make it all look all right. Obviously, it's a massive issue. It's a massive asset, is what I'm trying to say. This is the Manila one. It's not as big as I had feared. I sound like I've never used this, but I've placed this 10 times. But oh well. I think I'm gonna pause and we'll place it right here. And a part of the idea I have here is obviously I just need to get it connected up to the existing tracks, but I also want a proper industrial railyard here, I think. Something like that at least. So if I just focus on getting the connection to the tracks at first, then that is probably a good idea. Let's just see if we can maybe slope. I guess I'll need a connection around this area, and oh, that's more than 5%. So this is not totally realistic. I'm sorry to all the train guys out there. I know you're out there, and I know you're vocal, but yeah, you'll have to. I'm gonna have to disappoint you for just a moment here, because I just need this connected up, you know. And can we go for something like this? That looks all right. we'll just do a quick connection of these as well. This is just to get it all connected up. The more interesting rail yard design will come as soon as I have this connected up, and I bet there's 5% here as well. We'll go for this level, and that's around 3%, so that's actually not as bad at all. So I guess that's fine, but even 3% is probably a bit too much for freight rail, but oh well. Oh well. This one I'll try and continue straight for a long segment, and we'll do a connection like this. And I'm trying to connect stuff without anarchy. That's one way to ensure that I don't have any like clipping issues or trains acting super weird. Or at least it can kind of help against trains acting super weird. There's no guarantees, but obviously I have been known to abuse anarchy if I need to. So I'm trying to be less reliant on it, because it can result in issues as well. But I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out, and I mean, even without anarchy, the network tooling in City Skylines 2 is an absolute joy and pleasure to work with. So I am pretty happy with this initial design. I'm going to need a quick initial road layout just so that we can connect this up and obviously start adding in some workplaces. And I'm just using this suburban alley, which is just a custom alley with parking on either side. I think it's a pretty good fit for like an industrial area in general, because I don't mind my industrial area not really having dedicated sidewalks. Even though I'm sure that that will sometimes be the case in German industrial areas, but I like my industrial areas to kind of stand out, have some features that distinguish them from more residential or, commercial areas. So I'm just gonna create a very, very quick small road layout here. Nothing fancy at all. Just to get some workplaces in here. Let's see. With that said, I'm gonna do my best to kind of smoothen this as much as possible, as well as over here, so that it never looks like I played God in the first place. Smooth. And we even have a bit of space here for like a tiny quote-unquote custom rail yard where I can place some freight train props. So I think I'm just gonna use the chance and just get that placed, see if I can make that run parallel to the single track here. It looks like I can. And then we'll just grab the regular single track and get that connected with the complex curve, so that we'll click once, twice, and connect. And we'll do the same over here. Let's see, once, twice. That's not gonna work. Once, twice. Am I gonna have to use anarchy here? Oh, look, it worked. It's magic. And with anarchy on, I kind of want to see if I can connect to this track as well. I think I can. Right? No. Yeah, never mind. I think this looks all right. I think I'm actually just going to upgrade this to the regular 2-lane road as like the main road cutting through this industrial area. It's going to add a bit more variety then by having the custom lanes I built mixed in as some of like the smaller sub roads, this suburban alley here. So just adding a few more of these, maybe a few roundabouts as well. I think that would be fairly realistic for some of the heavier truck traffic to be handled like that. And we'll go with like a concrete base here. It's very industrial looking. We'll maybe add one here, and I think that's it. I'd like to add in at least one major signature building, and I really like the farmer, so I'll just see how much in terms of elevation changes we have here. It's not too bad. We'll do some free placement of it though, and fit it in right about here, and probably a bit of parking to just accommodate. A large parking lot actually would be fitting for this. A very large parking lot even. Can we? Yeah, we can do this. Let's just make that fit perfectly. Yoink. And how much does this add? I don't know yet, because no company has taken up the space. 100. What? That's not a whole lot. But do I actually have power and water out here? No. We now have water, sewage, and electricity. So before I do anything else, I want to add some train connections to the Bergthal Central train station. Let's see. We'll add one right on the very first platform here, connecting to Hindon. It's a weird set of name, but all right. One connection complete, and then I think we are gonna utilize a different platform here, a central one, because we should have a connection out here to Altburn. Yeah, very, very German. Of course, I can actually just change these, which I probably should, but now we've got 2 connections going. Let's just open the menu here and see if everything is as we would like it to be. The trains are spawning. Train line 1. Oh yeah, of course I can choose the type of train I want to actually spawn here. And I think I'm just gonna go with the regular, let's see, the regular passenger train, maybe 4 segments for both of these lines here. There you go, because I don't really have a diesel line. Like, my line is electrified, so I'd rather have those trains. Although these look pretty nice. Unemployment continues to rise, so let's get some actual jobs in here. We're going to use a mixture of maybe even everything, commercial, office, and industrial. As long as they have the right design, I think they can fit in together pretty nicely. So I'm just gonna add in a bit more road layout, and then I'll get plumbing. And maybe just a dairy house to kind of top it all off. Admittedly, it's a very rural looking asset, but it looks kind of nice as well. Moved in with better bulldozer to get rid of the chimneys, and I think you know, this is like an area that's not supposed to be super detailed. It's supposed to look all right from afar. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add some of the vanilla parking lots, which for one reason or another I insist to place manually, even though the alignment is, what am I doing? Yeah, we're just gonna place them normally. But yeah, I'll be adding in a few parking lots, and then I'm going to add a ton of trees, because at least in my ideal world, you would have strict requirements that your industrial areas do contain a ton of trees as well, to kind of counterbalance how you're carving up the earth to create industrial units. If I sound like a hippie, that's all right. I can live with that. Gonna get rid of some of the fences of some of these parking lots. don't really think that's all that necessary out here. And I think that's a pretty good start. Let's just get a little district going so that we have a general idea of how many jobs we've added so far. But I did just do a little check and I could see our unemployment rate dropping quite significantly. So Aspen Bluff, it's not going to cut it, but 1,200 jobs, I mean, in relation to the population figures we have, that is probably going to be sufficient. At least the unemployment rate is plummeting. Or it was, but there's plenty of room to add more stuff up here. But as I said, we're gonna turn this into a real foresty area, because I think that's gonna be very, very nice looking. So we're just gonna start with the spruces because they add like a really, really thick layer, and we're just gonna go ham. So I did open this area up and just added bushes and a surface. Just, I don't really know why this area looks the way it does, but I think it just adds a bit of extra interest to the whole area. And then we're grabbing this massive stain here from Sully, and I'm just gonna reduce the brush strength a little bit, but otherwise I am going to be pretty liberal with the application of this one, because that's just that's just a go-to way of me to make things a little more grungy, a little more industrial and detailed looking. And not that this area is run down, but we do have a lot of heavy industrial traffic here, and I think this just adds a lot of character very, very easily. Obviously, if your PC isn't all that beefy, then I don't actually know how much a ton of decals impact your general performance, but you might want to be a little more careful than me. But Bergthal in general isn't a big city, so I think it's gonna take it would take a ton of extra expansion for my performance to actually tank here. But I noticed with this addition, I'm gonna get rid of the grassy surfaces here. I think that's a little too nice for this area here. The same with the parking lot. I don't think that's something we would generally maintain. But otherwise, things are looking really great. Oh, let's get rid of... Can I get rid of this fence? I will. And I think we're finished with Aspen Bluff for now. We are going to rename this Norvac. I think that sounds reasonably German and industrial. I like it at least. And I know, we could have just zoned all of this industry. It's far away from the city center of Bergthal and then just be done with it. But I really don't like treating my industrial areas as an afterthought, because I think it all ties together. And honestly, this area is super important. I mean, it by far has the most jobs here. I think at least. Actually, let's just create a district here in Bergthal, since we haven't done that yet, so we can get an overall idea of like the demographics, the amount of workplaces and whatnot. Yank, and we're just gonna name this Centrum. 800 jobs on the actual island. So Norvac is a very important area, so I don't want to just rush it. And I think I might be moving kind of away from the main focus of this video, or at least the main purpose. But I do feel we need maybe a passenger train station out here. I mean, it's right by the main train line, or one of the two main train lines. So I think we need that. If there are so many jobs out here and we're approaching 1,200, then we probably need, train access. I think that would be a good idea at least. So let's grab one of the smaller stations we have available. Maybe just a small one. I don't want like going for an old station here. I just want like a small station that is very obviously geared towards commuters. And we have a freight train coming in, which looks pretty nice. But I think we'll just align the train station right here. Oh, it's a container train actually. Followed up by one of our passenger trains. I always love when we start having a good amount of train activity. Like I said, I am a train guy in the sense that I love building train infrastructure and looking at it. I'm not a train guy in the sense that I adhere to super realistic things at all times. Speaking of which, let's enable anarchy so that we can make this connection happening. And we'll do the very same over here. And hopefully that doesn't look too weird. I think that looks all right. I mean, it could probably just be a through station because it's not like a super busy area, but whatever. And then, of course, we just need a road to kind of connect this up and probably a suburb out here of some sort. I think that would be pretty fitting that you'd have some suburban developments near the train station here and near Norvac as well. That is usually how like suburbs or satellite cities spawn. If there are a decent amount of jobs nearby. But I think for now, we're just gonna go with a very, very simple road layout, just so that this area has a bit going for it. We're not gonna add anything just yet. I do need to check whether we are going to have electricity. I think that's gonna be a good... I'm just gonna make this connection here and then just connect the power line, perhaps. I mean, I assume this power line is also connected to the road. Let's see if that works out for the station. It does. Great. So I think I'm gonna make a separate train line for this, this like a quick train line between Norvac and Bergthal. Not sure that's the most realistic approach, but it adds more trains to the station in here in Bergthal, and that's the nicest approach to look at least. You know, that's always a good time. And we will complete the line. So we probably only need one train for this tiny train line. Yeah, one assigned vehicle, and let's go for the smallest version we can, which would be 3 segments, I think. Yes, this one. We're starting to see a bit of activity here at the Norvac passenger train station. A couple of people here going to work, but they have quite the distance, so I figured it would be fun to do something a little weird maybe, but I'm sure it's gonna be fun as well. So I think I'm just gonna pause, and then we're gonna do, let's say, 6.25 meters of elevation. Is that enough to steer clear of the catenaries? Not quite. I think we need 7.5. But if we do 7.5, then I'm gonna try something here that very much needs anarchy though. Click, and we'll go for a curved segment as well. Maybe just a 90 degree. Oh yeah, I can't do the curved with the... Okay, we'll do the curved segment with this regular pathway. And is that 90? That's 94. So we'll just kind of freeform this to 90. Click, and we'll go for a straight segment, go to ground level. See if we can connect up to the station here without any clipping issues. That does seem to be the case, and I think I'll just bring a pathway through here just as like a design feature so that the path looks a little better integrated with the station. And then the idea is that you have a decently scenic walk to work if you do choose to take the train to work, not your personal train. So let's just see. Click, and that's fine. I mean, that's meant to be a staircase, essentially. I probably need to elevate it a bit more, or alternatively, just lower this segment here. I can do that as what is going on. Okay, I need to do a bit of move it work just to fix this up. Like that. And then I'll just elevate couple of segments here of this path so that it steers clear of these catenaries. Just like that, and then we're going to click on the other nodes here and just get that aligned. Then Control H and click just to get that raised. I'm not sure this is a perfect solution, but I think it's a fun, interesting little idea, and I kind of like the pillar segment we have here across the actual railyard. And yeah, I mean, if you're a trained person, this is a nice walk, a real nice walk. Just gonna get a few trees in here, I think, with a bit of anarchy. And then we'll move on to actual detailing in downtown Bergthal, something that we've been postponing for way too long. But I do wonder how quickly the routing for people is calculated. Like, are they... Oh, that was quick. Very nice. But that also means that apparently these people are certain that that is going to be quicker, which is, yeah, it's kind of iffy. But maybe we can get a little view here, a first-person view of this walk. Oh my goodness, that is just morbid. There we go. I could move the camera a bit forward, otherwise this is a Halloween episode. I mean, look at that. Oh, there's two. There's 3 trains. It's a slow freight train moving in as well. Look at the skies. And there's 4 trains. I didn't have this on my bingo card for today's video, but here we are walking across the rail yards. And we've even got someone coming towards us. Hello. No reaction. My life in a nutshell. Let's move on to some downtown detailing. And I want to start with the pedestrianized areas here in Bergthal. Because it looks all right with these vanilla roads here, these pedestrian streets. Actually, this one is a narrow one. I used a road builder to create, but otherwise it looks pretty nice. But I think something we can really do is that we can use a custom surface from PDX mods to really spice up parts of the tiles here. These tiles here, they're not bad. They're actually a decent fit. So I think just for decorative purposes, I want to recolor some of them in a different surface. And what a better way than to use some of these quote-unquote German-inspired sidewalks. This one is inspired by the Hamburg-Altona station in Hamburg, and we've also got some French-inspired. They're all by the same creator. These are wonderful, actually. So let's just see what makes sense. This one has like a red brick outline, so I'd be interested in just trying to add these and then just kind of see how that works. So my general idea is to maybe redo a segment here in the very center and then have some trees lined up alongside this specific stretch we're creating. And if that doesn't make a lot of sense, I probably have to do it first. So we're just gonna try to do this. So we'll create that. And that looks pretty nice, actually. That does look pretty nice. And then the general idea is that I find a tree of some sort that makes sense to kind of plant maybe on every third. So if we have the birch, which is generally one of the better trees for using on sidewalks because it's pretty tall. Then let's see, 1 and maybe every 4th actually. So that we don't cover up too much. Something like this. Let's have a look. I think that's a pretty good look, and I don't think that's right in the pathway. For most people, they tend to not walk right there for some reason. So I think I'm gonna utilize this one over, let's see, we could do the same over here and choose this segment, I think. So we'll try that. We'll move out to about here. I think that's kind of the width we had. There's a bit of curvature, I think, to this road. but I'm gonna be slightly lazy here and just not care about that, and just get this painted. Let's see. Actually, I think this road is straight. I don't know what I'm saying. I think the road is perfectly straight. Let's get these placed in here, or maybe something a little smaller, since this is a slightly smaller segment. So we'll grab these poplars here. Once again, we'll leave 2 in between so that it's every 4th one, which means we can just fit in the 2. And that is a very simple, nice way of detailing these, I think. I do want to try something a little more dramatic. Maybe this completely red tiled surface for this small segment and this small segment here, and we might just mix it up and do the central part. I think this is gonna look great, but it's gonna be down to, I guess, the scaling of these tiles. Oh man, that's pretty nice. We might even do that in here as well. I mean, we can do both, right? We can certainly do both. So I'm gonna find this corner and this corner, and then we'll just move all the way through. Get it aligned over here on either side. Yoink, how does that look? That looks nice. I think I'm gonna do this for these areas as well. And then we could kind of break up the symmetry a bit by also adding this one, but adding it to the other side, the opposite side of where we have it placed over here, and then we'll add the trees to the other side as well. Make it a little extra interesting, I guess you could say. And as you guys can see, I'm just doing very rough alignment. I don't want to spend too much time making sure that the alignment is absolutely perfect. And then once again, we'll switch it up over here. So the trees, in this case, we did use the birch, and I think it was this size. Every 4th one. It's always a little weird to add trees like this to your high detail areas, because you do end up covering like the visibility of it, you know, especially from afar. But I mean, it's pretty realistic, you know. Cities don't do landscaping to necessarily look good from this drone shot, but rather being, you know, they want it to be pleasant and nice when you're actually interacting with it on you know, as a person. That is already a very big improvement to the overall feel of the very heart of the central part of Bergthal. And now we need to integrate this vanilla park a little better. So I'm getting rid of the grass texture. I don't really want that. And then I'll see if I can just add some like symbol connections. Let's see. 115, okay. And 115. I will just do something. Doesn't have to look perfect. We'll do 90 out here, and we'll do another 90. All right, I'm just gonna get rid, I think, of these big oaks right now. They're a kind of placeholder I placed down previously, because I have some quote-unquote custom bushes and trees that I can actually use. These are pretty much just colorized vanilla bushes and trees, but that's also pretty interesting. So I think I'm just gonna see if I can add like a bunch of flowers here. Just look how cozy this is. Mr. Devonmore just chilling. We've got a bit of yoga going on as well, and lots of activity here in the pedestrian area. What a nice city center this has turned out to be. Oh, and if you guys were wondering about all these crime scenes that I had here near the pedestrian areas, it was actually the buildings facing my custom narrow pedestrian street, because it only consisted of 2 tiled pedestrian segments and not this car segment. I just edited that in. Police vehicles as well as garbage trucks, like the one you can see here, weren't actually able to enter these areas. So I guess the police couldn't park nearby. They have to actually park in front of the building where they're trying to solve a crime. So now I've just updated the narrow pedestrian path so you guys can see how I fixed it. Obviously, this means that we'll only have people walking on one side and probably only in one direction even, unless they can actually walk here and in the car lane. I don't think that's the case, but it doesn't seem like it's one directional actually. It seems like it's both directions. So I guess it's okay. But visually, it's pretty obvious we have a car lane here now, but it did, fix an issue, and I want the city to function. I don't want weird functional issues to persist. So did anyone say SimCity Fall? Anyways, after that weird detour, it was a lot of fun detailing up the Centrum here in Bergthal, and while we still need to do some detailing of the marina as well as add a few blocks here, I would like to actually add a few more houses and maybe even a few shops on the mainland, so to speak, even though this is an island on a lake. And I think the first step is pausing and just redoing parts of this road here, because that's just looking a little odd, if I do say so myself. So I think I'm just gonna make sure we have a proper connection before I remove everything. So what I'd like to do is enable anarchy, grab this road here, and I'll adjust the farm, of course, but then I need to cross around this place. So I think I'm just gonna expand or extend it this far, and then I need to check on the height levels here to see if we can realistically have a tunnel underneath. So let's see. This is 482 and the water level is 472. So that's pretty good. So if I right click here and then we do a bit of digging, then I think that should be just fine. So we'll upgrade, let's see. Oh, those are some massive segments. Let's just kind of break those up a bit by just running this one. Apparently that didn't work. That only added a node to one of them, which wasn't meant to happen. So I'll just do like this, and then we'll upgrade these 2 segments to bridge segments. That's perfect. And then I think we're ready to create a very, very smooth approach. 8%, that's fine. And we might as well just move all the way up to where we expect to meet with this road here. And we'll grab this road anew, but we'll actually use a different one because I want it to be zonable. So I have this 2-way national road, which I guess is slightly more US themed, at least by name, but I think we can use it here in Bergthal as well. We'll move down here and we'll move up here, and obviously we're going to need a massive or a slightly big roundabout. And then I'm gonna get rid of this road here. Underground as well, of course. Get this connection going. And I don't mind the rural road I've been using up here, because this is very, very fitting for this area, I think. So I'm just gonna make sure that is connected up as well. And that already looks a lot better, if you ask me. So we're just gonna smooth this out a bit so that it isn't as dramatic. And then to complete the look, I want to see if I can just double click here to add a pillar on either side, and that seemed to work just fine. That's a lot better. All right, perfect. All right, so my plan is to try and zone this area because I just want to continuously try and become better and at zoning, so that I can kind of switch in between manually plopping and zoning, because manually plopping really just gets kind of dull after a little while. Is probably the best way I can put it. So what I think we'll do is we will go for a road with parking on one side. It could be something like this. And then I'm gonna have a small, I guess you could call it a city center, right over here. It's not gonna be like an actual city center, but it's just gonna be, you know, a few mixed use houses, some row housing, and you know, that's pretty much gonna be it. And this is probably as good as it's gonna get zoning wise, so I think I'm gonna stick to this setup. And then I kind of want to continue the road right here, but I want something that's a little narrower because we're gonna switch to low density residential as we move out this way here. So let's see. Don't I have an alley with parking on one side? I do, this one. And we're gonna break from having, you know, straight road segments here. How steep is this? It's not very steep at all. So we'll disable any kind of snapping and just kind of move through and try to adhere to, not really contours because it's not too steep, but more so just a general shoreline here. And then just connect so that we have like the basics in place here. And then I think going even smaller, so like a one-way lane could be something I could kind of experiment with as well. So we'll grab a one-way and connect up to the main road here. We'll do the very same in this fashion and something like that. And then for the zoning here, I want to try and prioritize zoning alongside the lane here. So if I do something like, let's see, if I add this and remove this, then that doesn't work at all. Okay, nice. Oh, this is all right. Yeah, I'm gonna have some houses facing this road here. That seems inevitable, but that's okay. I just don't want the majority of houses to face that way. And then I'm gonna make sure that these face the waterfront, because I think that would make a lot of sense. And I think we're about ready. So we're gonna pause and give this a go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the vanilla medium density housing, row housing, as the base. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna select the German pack, and then we'll just have a bit of mixed use in between here. And I'm gonna see if this is gonna work out or if these buildings look too old, because in that case I'm gonna switch them out. And then I want to have some of these German themed apartment buildings as well. And the cool thing, of course, with this zone here is that we actually have row variants. We have these one tile deep houses, but I am going to zone 2 as well, so that we can get something slightly more substantial. Now, the interesting part is also out here, because I have this custom zone. And those of you that know of my Scandinavian themed series, sorry, what am I doing? Here it is. Will know what this zone looks like. It's basically European themed hotel buildings that I have repurposed as residential single family homes in complete desperation, because we really lack some old looking European single family detached housing. So we're gonna attempt and see how this is actually gonna turn out, and I'm just gonna hit play and we'll see what happens. So let's see how well this worked or didn't work. I just upgraded this to a regular road, but generally I think this looks all right, because I am going to be changing the colors of these basic vanilla row houses here. So the roof, we need to get this orange red tile, and then I want a white facade. So I did a little copy pasting from one of these German themed houses, and now I think I have the colors all right. And I'm hopeful that if I just paint the vanilla row houses here, then they are going to fit in much more nicely with these German pack buildings. So let's just try and get that done. I'll leave just a few houses with these black tiled roofs. People who have done renovation projects recently and for whatever reason opted not to go with the red tiles, at least here in Denmark. The tiles are rather expensive, so some people disregard them completely, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with how this looks. It is interesting to see though how the German pack is much closer aligned to the actual sidewalks than the row housing here. So I'm kind of I think I want to try and move these a bit further back and see if that looks a little more natural. I definitely think that looks a little better. Is this completely white? It is, okay. But yeah, I think for like a low detail zoning option, this is pretty good, you know. It's not definitely not perfect, but pretty good. I'm gonna try and add a bit of extra stuff here because I want to see if I can zone alongside this street here. So we'll just upgrade key and... Oh, sorry, that was not a key. That was just some lights like this, so that we can have some row housing. So we'll go for the medium density European row housing, and then obviously a bit of mixed use and maybe an like one apartment building and another German themed apartment building and one here as well. Something like that. We'll grab the color scheme, make sure we have all this somewhat similar, and then we can add in a few paths and a few trees. So I think zoning wise, that's pretty successful. Let's have a look at my custom little zone here. And I think this has been very, very efficient. It's definitely not perfect, but it's probably as good as it's gonna get given the assets we have available to us currently. Although the road here doesn't quite line up with the zone. So I'm gonna do a few upgrades just to try and make the whole thing a little more interesting. We're gonna go for this type of roads on this segment, and then maybe I've got my suburban alley, which should be a little wider. It is, but that's almost going to fix the issue. So we'll just continue that to about this point here, and then I think the easy solution is basically just to move the houses a little closer to the alley. I've cleaned up the trees around here, and then we're gonna go for a big layer of bushes, and then I think I'm just going to manually place some trees in between the houses. I imagine that there wouldn't be too many trees on the actual shoreline in front of the houses, so that, you know, their prices are much higher and they're a lot more desirable. But we're just gonna start with a thick layer of bushes as always, and then I am going to recolor these as well. I think I want this red tiled roof once more, or maybe this color version. Actually, can I grab this one and try and apply it to a house and see how that looks? That looks a little weird. So I think I'm gonna try and grab this one here, and then we're just gonna paint it all white. We're gonna keep the roof as is. Yes, and then I want to change at least most of the houses, the colors of them. Not necessarily all of them, but all the houses with green roofs, at least for starters, because I don't really think that fits in. But once again, I think it's fine that we have a couple of houses that probably stick out a little bit, where renovations were done a little differently. But most of these houses are going to have this white color scheme here. It's basically going to be a theme here in Bergthal, and that looks pretty good. Wrapping up with a bunch of trees. We're starting with these oak trees here because they are big, beautiful, and they work so well at covering up zoning imperfections and imperfections in the terrain all around the place. So that's a good start. Then we'll add in some spruce trees in small clusters afterwards, and then I think this area is going to be looking pretty sweet, even though it is just zoned with a few adjustments. And I think that looks pretty nice. I'm very happy with how this turned out. And I mean, the views are obviously, there are something else. You do have a pretty loud, you know, main road right behind you, but I mean, that's just, you can't have it all. But you can get pretty close, I think, given these views at least, and the easy access to the lake and all the recreational activities, of course. I've added in some trees in between these older apartment buildings here, and while not perfect, I certainly think this is passable for a zoned area that we're not going to spend too much time on. But I think I need to create a district so that we can see some demographics for this area. But before I do that, I kind of just want to expand with a few more of these old roads here with low density houses. So I think we're going to do just that. We're gonna grab the suburban, or sorry, the suburban alley is what I called it. Don't know if that's the most fitting name for this road, but yeah, there you go. And then we're going to fill in parts of this area. I just removed the one farm we had here just to make a bit of space, because I think it makes sense that we kind of have a bit of these low density detached housing surrounding this I guess you could call it like a small city core of some sort. If we were to do just a tiny amount of detailing here, I would say we'll apply a surface, one of these nice German ones that we've also used in the center of Lindau. And we're just gonna apply that to part of the sidewalk here. Let's see. Oh, I'm probably gonna move all the way down here at least. I don't want to take up all the sidewalk space in front of these buildings here. I kind of like that they have like their own sidewalk segments that are visible, but something like this so that we have like a common promenade, I think would be pretty nice. And then if we're to really spice it up, we would add, I can only grab a tree, please. There you go. We'd add a few table sets as well. They're of course not functional, and we need to add these to the pedestrianized area in Lindau as well, of course. But we can just start adding a few out here in this place that I still haven't named, which is a little awkward by now. So I need to come up with something at least. Got a shop here as well. Guess you can have some outdoor seating. And then, of course, some poplars. And I think this time around, we can probably just grab the line tool. We'll make sure that the rotation of the trees are random. We'll grab them from this level here. And then, what does this say? 20 meters? Maybe 10 is a little more fitting. And just draw it all the way down here. And that already looks a lot nicer. So for the name, let's designate it as a zone, and I should probably cover some of the rural areas as well to the immediate north. So actually, should I? No, I think we'll go to about here, and then we'll need a separate name for the rural area. But this I think we'll call Mittelfeld. Yeah, nice. So we've been significantly expanding Bergthal now, but what do the people actually want? So unreliable mail service is the main detractor of happiness right now, basically, which I think should be manageable. We can use a post office, a small post office, maybe just both. I kind of want to use the small one in maybe a central location. I think that could be pretty fun. Maybe right here. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna use the slightly bigger one, because that's just a nice building for like a bit of an industrial area. And we do have like a small cluster here, which I initially built as a very, very temporary thing because we just needed, you know, water treatment and some services and whatnot. But I mean, I think we can make this look a little more permanent with a few simple changes. So let's just get this one added, and I'll do the upgrades here, not because I need to, but because they look nice and we are flooded with infinite cash. And I think that looks pretty good. And any upgrades to this one? Oh, actually there is. Oh, that is so cute. I'll add that in as well. And then I guess we need some mailboxes. So we'll have, they can actually be added to the pedestrian paths. That's pretty cool. I didn't actually know that to be the case. So I guess I'll add one right here in the very heart of the center, and then we'll add one out here, and maybe we'll add one here in front of this French-looking building, the school. Then we need one in Mittelfeld as well, one alongside the main street here. And I think that's actually fine. And then do we need... I don't think we need an up here. I don't think industrial areas will have mailboxes. Will they? Not for now, at least. Forward mailboxes, which I think is fine. And hopefully this should improve our happiness quite a bit when we tackle this. You can actually see people approaching this thing to put mail in it, which is pretty cool. At least I just saw that 2 seconds ago. Someone went right up to it, stopped for a second, and it had a bit more stored mail. So that's a really nice little detail. Oh, we've got a pretty bad crash here in Mittelfeld with a fire in this trailer. The fire engine has been dispatched. Can we find it? We can. It's right here. So let's apply a more realistic speed, like 007, and we'll follow this in first person mode. Ah, that is a nice view. Please get out of the way, man. And since I have just completely lost the plot and I'm just building stuff I find interesting, I kind of want to add some of the old beautiful houses to this small square here. I think that could look pretty cool, but I don't want to intersect with the Spring Street or this bridge here, neither this road here, because I need a good clear traffic throughput. Like I need them to be high capacity with as few stops as possible. The fact that they sometimes have to stop for pedestrians are bad. That's just bad enough as it is. So maybe we can move underneath here and across here. I mean, that would be so... I think that would look pretty interesting. So I think if I find this level here, that is that gonna be a bridge that's gonna work? Elevated. Okay. Okay, we're just gonna grab all nodes here, everything, and align it to this height. Yeah, that's a little better. Not really sure what happened there, but all right. So let's see. We've got a node here, and we've got something here. We can try and kind of align ourselves to the train tracks and kind of follow their height, more or less. Something like this should be fine. But we made our way across, and I guess that's the most important thing, although it was an ugly way of doing it. And then down here, I need to make sure I have enough clearance, but it doesn't look like that's a massive problem. We can go underneath. There's plenty of clearance. Very nice. And then I want to move all the way over here, and it's just gonna stop with this empty stop here, because the train tracks came afterwards. Is my idea, at least. So it just kind of stops abruptly, but that's fine. And this shouldn't be a bridge segment. No, no, no. Then I need some of these small one-way streets, I think, because they just look incredibly cozy, and zoning seems to work pretty well with these streets as well. And I can go for like a pretty small size. Can I fit in just one more? I can. And then we'll go down and connect, and I might even attempt something like this just to see if I can fit in a few more of these houses. And then obviously this road here, it needs to lead somewhere, so we're just gonna get the 180-degree angle and move ourselves up the hill here. But I obviously also need a connection over here of some sort, so that people can actually get to this area. But I think this is gonna turn out pretty cozy. So let's just see. Zoning wise, I think I want houses to primarily be alongside these ones that go in parallel, but otherwise that looks pretty good. So let's just try and get this zoned up actually and see how that looks. So apparently there's no water, because I never ever get utilities right in this build. Why is there? That's because there's no water over here, so it's not gonna just magically connect, obviously. So I'm gonna cheat a bit and just do a quick dirty connection like that. But now everything's working, and it's a little barren currently. We have no trees, so that's always going to be a little barren, but we're just gonna grab the color scheme or thematic colors here that we use just about everywhere, and we're just gonna colorize most of the houses. Most important thing is we don't have any green roofs, because that looks hideous, but otherwise we can have a bit of variety in here, and then trees. That is so cozy. I'm not actually sure how desirable it would be to have a lot of traffic, train traffic and vehicle traffic pretty much everywhere, but there's just something super cozy about this location. Really like that. Although I do wonder if this location here right by the water would actually, you know, would have originally have been apartment buildings, like if the demand would have been there. I mean, probably. I kind of want to try and see how it looks if I just like... actually, maybe I should manually place them. I think I have them opened here. So level 1 German-themed residential buildings might just be a bit of fit for an area like this. I'll just try and place this one, and I'll just place one more. Let's see, we can get rid of this building because it doesn't look all that nice. And then maybe just grab this one really, and then just have a look how that looks. It might just look, I think that makes a little more sense. A few apartment buildings as the city started expanding, as Bergthal expanded from its historic center onto the quote-unquote mainland. It used to just be farms and rural area, all this, until it started urbanizing. But then I guess demand kind of just died out. Like there wasn't enough demand for all of this to be apartments, and that's when, you know, these single-family homes started being built in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then eventually a new sort of small city center spawned up out here in Middelfeld as more demand eventually arose. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of the narrative I'm going for here. But something that I think we need to do is, we had this one just kind of end abruptly. So I think it would make a lot of sense if it continued over here, at least for like a little stretch. We don't have to actually do anything with it. It's just so that we have this former crossing in place. Oh, and I probably need to continue this road as well, but I do kind of have an idea. So we're just gonna make sure I can snap to it, and then we'll disable snapping. And I don't know why it insists on being, oh, it's not a bridge anymore. Great. So I think we'll just make sure we hit this road here, because that did kind of end awkward abruptly, and then just connect right up here. And I think now this whole area looks a little better integrated as well. And we might go for a farm here. Yes. I'm gonna leave a bit of space so that we can have like a belt of trees. Yoink. And then the trees, we want to have that belt here. I mean, I guess it looks nice, but let's see. I set out initially in this episode to wrap up the island here, you know, get the marina detailed up, getting all the blocks in place. And then for some reason, we've just built a ton of other stuff. We've done some detailing of the pedestrian areas. We've made a really nice park, and I'm very happy with everything we've done. But man, yeah. So if you expected the island to be done, sorry to disappoint. I hope some of the other stuff has been interesting, and I guess this also concludes that we're definitely gonna need like a third episode of this mini series, because I can't wrap this up before a Centrum, the minor island here at the very least, is finished up. Yeah. What do you think? I hope you guys liked my addition of Mittelfeld and Norvac to the Bergthal metropolitan area, as I guess it is now. It's been a lot of fun, at least, and that's why I've done all kinds of random stuff in this episode. But this is gonna be a wrap. Otherwise, it's gonna be a way too long an episode. And yeah, I guess for those of you that really enjoy watching Bergthal, it's just gonna be nice to have at least one more episode in the mix. So as always, I'm gonna shoot some final cinematics, but right before I do that, I wanna thank you guys so much for all the feedback, all the nice comments and suggestions, especially all of you Germans, my Southern brothers and sisters. I've gotten so much nice feedback on the first episode of Bergthal. It's really been quite overwhelming. If you have any suggestions for what we should maybe wrap up with in episode 3, what you think Bergthal really needs, then please let me know. I'm always interested in some feedback. Anyways, onwards to those cinematics. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.